summer signings, you know, just behind the tens and Bumo and Cunha, then maybe worrying about your goalie every game. What's going on, people? Brian Martin here. Brian Martin United. What's going on? Coming in again with another quick news roundup, news show. I try to do these, try to keep these short. Trying to get more consistent with it. As you guys know, I'm trying to build the channel, trying to build a little social media presence. So, if you don't mind just, bearing with me through my trying things out. So I'm trying to get consistent with the news. So anyway, I'm not waste too much time. Here we go. So Garnacho, obviously we've been, following this whole, I guess I'd call it a circus at this point, all summer now. Garnacho's obviously wanting to go to Chelsea. Chelsea needs to increase their valuation to 65 million pounds, or at least do maybe 45 million and throw in Santos, something like that. But right now that's not happening. According to Give Me Sport, United are hoping that Spurs come in and launch a bid for Garnacho. Now, knowing Levy, I don't think he's going to offer 65 million pounds. I mean, the guy's a bit of a tightwad, right? So I don't think he's going to come in and be like, yeah, let me give you the 65 million you're asking for. So that might be a bit of wishful thinking on our part. But who knows? Again, like the other sagas that are going on this summer, watch this space. With Antony, Real Betis, as I said yesterday, Real Betis are sitting there with the photo of Antony, just like saying, I wish you were here, right? Still going on. Pellegrini, the manager at Real Betis, they're saying that, or he's saying that the ball is in United's court. I think we are valuing Antony at about, what, 40 million, I think pounds. I think it was pounds. Apologies if I misquote that. It's high for his output, but obviously we're trying to recoup some of that money that we paid for him, to try and obviously put that towards other transfers. I think Anthony's probably more like 30 million, maybe 25. But again, because we had such a big outlay for him, we're trying to get some of that money back. So, we'll see. But according to the Manchester Evening News, Fenerbache are coming in, looking at Antony. So, and they're looking to meet the valuation of 40 million. So he might be in Turkey. Who knows? I think that would be probably a good move for him as well. I mean, obviously he did well at Real Betis. I think that's the better move for him. But, if he goes to Turkey, I don't think that's a bad move either. I think he could go there and thrive as well. Although I kind of feel like when you go to Turkey, you start to kind of disappear a little bit. I mean, you look at Victor Osimhen, right? Like, I'm still disappointed that he chose to go to Turkey. Nothing against anyone or anybody there or any team there. I just feel like that's a step down for a man of his talent, right? So, I feel like when you go there, you start to kind of move, closer and closer to the Saudi Pro League, and you start to kind of get further and further away from things. Although, again, Saudi Pro League, they had a good showing at the Club World Cup, so I could be eating those words in a couple years. But anyway, enough about that. So Sancho, apparently, again, according to the Manchester Evening News, is being looked at by Inter Milan. I know that there was previously some interest in Sancho from, I think it was Juventus and Roma also. But now apparently Inter are looking to toss their hat into the ring and maybe make a play for Sancho. Again, I think he'd probably do well in that league. Not quite as fast as a Premier League, where I think a lot of players kind of fall down with the speed of the Premier League. So we'll see. Again, I'm ready for Sancho to be out of here. I'm ready for all these guys to be out of here, honestly, the ones who were looking at moves away. So just ready to get them out of here. It's better for them. The sooner they get to their new teams, they can get settled. They can kind of find their place, get their bearings, hopefully hit the ground running and do well there. Because I don't wish any of them harm. I don't wish any of them any ill will. I want them to all go on and do well. They're other human beings like myself. I want them to all go and do well. But, United obviously isn't the place for them. And, I just want them off the books sooner than later so we can use those funds to secure other signings. And speaking of other players who are, looking to move on, obviously Tyrell Malacia, I feel like he's kind of been lost into obscurity ever since he had that long, long layoff of that knee injury. The guy came back and played what 2 or 3 times, and he's just kind of like the forgotten man. Um, but according to the Roma press, Roma are looking at Malacia again. Might be a good move for him going to Italy. Um, and I'm disappointed he didn't work out. I had high hopes for Malacia. I thought he'd be one of those gems that we found, uncovered, and really just held it down. But I think you know that knee injury just didn't really didn't really do him any favors. Because I didn't think he was bad, and I think I saw him. We saw him a couple times under Amram, and it wasn't bad. But like, he could be a good sub maybe. But I guess got to move on. I guess he wants to play more, which I don't blame him for wanting to play more. So off he goes. Maybe to Roma. Um, who did they just sign? They just signed Leon Bailey, right? And they'd both be on the left side. Could be a good combination, Malacia and Bailey. Uh, anyway, Hojlund. So again, Hojlund most likely going to Napoli, um, given Lukaku's injury. But it seems like Hojlund is looking for some assurances from Napoli. I would assume probably over playing time. Again, like in professional, you want to play, right? You don't want to just ride the bench. So I would assume that's what that haggling is over. He probably wants some assurances to say, okay, I'm going to play X amount of games or X amount of minutes per game, barring any injuries or suspensions. Um, Maybe something like that, or maybe it's more of a, I want to make sure that, not only am I going on loan here, but maybe it's a loan option with the obligation to buy or something. I don't know. But there's some haggling going on there. But right now, it still seems like Hojlund's most likely going to Napoli. However, according to the Manchester Evening News, he's been offered to Bayern as well. So I don't know much there. I haven't seen much about that. I only saw on the Manchester Evening News that he was offered to Bayern. Maybe Vincent Company can go up there, can bring him up there and work some wonders with them. I know Harry Kane did say that the Bayern squad was pretty small. I think he said the smallest he's ever been in or played in or something like that. So maybe, you know, upon hearing that company, company and co are trying to figure out how to flesh out the squad a bit more. And again, maybe Hoyland will go there and do well. But who knows? Again, I think Napoli's is most likely destination. Mr. Maguire. So, as I was saying yesterday, Harry Maguire, he had a contract extension, a 1-year contract extension triggered in January 2025, obviously taking him to January 2026. He was in the news talking the past couple of days, saying how United's going in the right direction, things have changed, and talking about his own leadership role. I was saying yesterday that I think he deserves an extension. I think he's a reliable center back. I think he served us well. I think he's a, exemplary professional and a role model for the young kids coming through. He can mentor your Heavens, your Euros, even your Delicts. Um, and so, yeah, apparently he's been told that he's staying. He's not going anywhere. So I think that's good news for Harry Maguire. I think he deserves it. I'd like to see him stay. So again, watch this space. Hopefully he stays and can contribute more to the squad. Now, Angelo Stiller. As far as I know, no relation to Ben. Um, he has come up, I would say, resurfaced in the last week. Although I was scanning for some comps of him because, to be honest, I really don't know much about the guy. I haven't watched him play very much. So I was scanning for some comps of him. And I saw some comps from about a month ago linking him to United, but I really only heard his name come up in the past, I would say, 48 hours, honestly. So I saw all the other, YouTube channels and social media folks hopping on the Stiller train. Like I said, I don't know much about him. I've watched some comps with bad music to see some of his highlights. I see some good passing, some good interceptions, but the thing is, in the center of the park, and really anywhere in the Premier League, can you get about the pitch, right? That's my concern. He looks like he's got, decent size on him. He's got a good strike on him, looks like. Again, some good passing, good interceptions, reading the channels well, but can you get around the pitch? Can you get up and down? Can you, you know, make those late runs into the box and then get back on defense and, stop the counterattack, or is that going to just stretch you too far? And again, as I said earlier, I feel like that is one of the biggest issues with players when they come to the Premier League. They they come in, they've got all the skills, they just don't have that engine. They just don't have that ability to get up and down the pitch. So, if the game is being played in the final third or from the midfield in the attacking half onwards, they're great. But if you ask them to get up and down every few seconds, they fall apart. The game falls apart. So hopefully that's not him. Hopefully we can put in a bid and get him and he works out. But, you know, people were saying that he might be a bit of a bargain buy, but I feel like now with all this noise around him, um, his team's gonna be like, look, you guys really want him? Let's triple the price because everyone likes to price gouge United. So again, we'll see. I do think we need some midfield reinforcements. Um, Bruno and Casemiro can only hold us down for so long. I don't like Bruno in the center of the park, like I said before. Casemiro is getting older. Um, Ugarte just isn't it for me. If anything, I'd offer Ugarte plus cash for any midfielder that we're looking at. Um, I know people were saying Manu needs a shot in there, but again, I Manu and Bruno can't be at center mids either. Not enough legs there. I know. Again, I'm not on the Manu hate train. I think he's a great talent. I think he's just another number 10 that we have. He's not a center mid to me. To me, I think he just can't get about the way that we would need him to. I think he is, like I said, 10 material, and we've already got a ton of those. So I don't know. I actually kind of worry about Manu a little bit. Maybe I'm reading too much into the last game, but him not getting on, I worry a little bit. I worry a little bit. And then, like I said, the fact that to me, he doesn't quite have the legs for a central midfielder. And then the 10 space is crowded. I mean, you got Xerxes sitting there too, ready to come back. A lot of players can slot in there. I might can slot in there. So we'll see. Um, Goalkeepers. So obviously, we're talking about this layman's guy from Antwerp. And he was he 23. He's 6'4". What do I have written here? Yeah, 23, 6'4". Again, I'm not gonna pretend like I know a ton about the guy. I'm not sitting here watching Royal Antwerp every weekend, week out. So I can't tell you that I know and watched him play. Again, I looked at a few of his comps. I see good goalkeeping, and importantly, I see that he commands his box, and he seems to come out to collect crosses aggressively. Again, it's a compilation, it's highlights, so maybe that's not something he does on the regular. I'm not watching him on the regular. I couldn't tell you, but he seems to come out aggressively, which is something that we're missing from, I would say, Bayern and for a good part Onana. Um, Again, 23. That's young for a keeper. Maybe get him in there and see what he does. But again, someone has to go. I feel like because at that point we've got 4 keepers on the books, right? We'd have Onana, we'd have Lamans, we'd have Heaton and Bayender, and one of those has to go, right? Um, if it were up to me, I'd let Onana go. Apparently, Onana's fit uh, and ready to play this weekend, but Amarim was pretty coy and kept his cards close to his chest on if Onana would play. I think if Onana doesn't play this weekend, then that's the writing on the wall to me, because Amarim's clearly stated that he's fit. He's clearly said that. So if Bayindir is in there or even Heaton, then I think that's the writing on the wall for Onana. I think that's the end for Onana. Honestly, it would be even more controversial slash stirring the pot slash I don't know what if Heaton starts. If Heaton starts, that might be the writing on the wall for Onana and Bayindir if Heaton starts. And especially if he starts and has a good game. If he starts and has a good game, I think that's it. I think that's it for one, if not both of them, Onana and Bayindir. And then I would think that the layman's, deal is imminent at that point. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, Again, my guy that I'd love to see us get is Lunin from Real Madrid. I say it every video. I probably should get a poster on my wall at this point, or just tattoo it my forehead. Andrew Lunin would be a great goalkeeper for Manchester United. I got a big forehead, so all that would fit across there. Um, yeah. So anyway, we'll see. Again, as I said, with the other transfers, ingoings, outgoings, watch this space. We'll see who breaks it first. And if anything does break, of course, I will jump back on. You guys know that. Uh, oh yeah, Ahmad the physio, not who you think. Not our, right wing back Ahmad. He's already got enough going on his plate. Apparently United are set to appoint Crystal Palace's head physio Imtiaz Ahmad. Um, Again, never heard of the guy. I watch Palace here and there in the league. I'm not sure what their injuries have looked like. Um, I feel like last year they had a bit of an injury crisis, so I don't know. But again, I'm not going to put that all at the feet of the doctor, right? I mean, people's bodies are people's bodies, right? You never know. You might just have a collection of guys who just break down easily. You might have a collection of guys who are just very sturdy, right? So I can't put all that at the feet of the physio, and that's why I get annoyed. Sidebar here, when a team is in an injury crisis and everyone's like, "Oh, what are the doctors doing? What are the doctors doing? They're not doing their jobs." And it's like everyone's body is unique, right? Like you might just have, I don't know, one year where everyone just has bad luck. Might have one year where everyone has good luck and no one's really getting injured. Sure, you might have some shoddy doctors in there, some shoddy physios, or you might just be an unlucky team and you've got a team full of players that just break down easily, So I don't always place it on the physio. Um, where I do blame them is if a player has consistent injuries and they aren't they don't seem to be taking care of it and monitoring it and like treating it accordingly, if that makes sense. Um, like if a player keeps injuring their hamstring, you know, maybe try to work with them on how they're sprinting and jumping. To try and change maybe like how they push off on their foot to keep from putting so much pressure on that particular spot in their hamstring. Now I'm getting really technical, right? Um, and just make sure they, keep it wrapped and iced and supported and all that good stuff. Um, but if a player keeps going out there and pulling their hamstring and they keep playing and running the same way, you have to kind of start to question that one. Um, anyway, let me get off that soapbox. Moving on to one for the future. JJ Gabriel. Apparently he is training with the first team. He is 14 years old. I mean, 14 years old training with the first team at United. What was I doing at 14, man? I was starting on my varsity soccer team as a freshman. So I was all right at 14. Um, they actually wanted me when I was 13, when I was still in eighth grade to play varsity soccer. My parents said no. They said, nah, we don't want you to get hurt. Um, so yeah, I was, yeah, I was playing for my varsity soccer team in high school at 14 years old. Um, yeah, but I couldn't imagine just being 14 and just like training with United's first team. I mean, you either got to have like just massive confidence or you're just so like inexperienced that you just have no idea how big this is. So anyway, JJ Gabriel, 14 years old, training with the first team. I wish him luck. I wish him, safety because 14 is still 14, young legs, young body. Hopefully doesn't get hurt or anything. And who knows? Could be another wonder kid, but I hope that we let him train in peace and we don't hype him up too much, and we, you know, watch him grow and flourish, and you know, who knows, be the next Ronaldo that stays with us. Who knows? I don't know. Um, so some fun random news, some former United players. Uh, Victor Lindelof might be going to Leverkusen. Right now, he's still a free agent. But I was reading today that Leverkusen might be sounding out Victor Lindelof. So maybe the Iceman isn't done yet with the top leagues. I'd like to see him go to a good team and play well. Again, he was a good professional for us. I admired Lindelof. Um, I think maybe in some better systems, maybe he could have, I don't know, done a little more for us. I mean, he did a lot for us. Maybe he could have done more for us. And I would have liked to have seen him try it at the CDM role a bit more. I think we tried him there once or twice. I would have liked to have seen him maybe get another extended run there and just see what he does. You know, who knows? But anyway, Lindelof to Leverkusen. That's what I'm hearing and seeing. I hope that he gets a move to a good club and a strong club and can compete, maybe win some things. Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen is being sounded out by Burnley apparently, and so we might see the Dane back in the Premier League. Again, another professional, good player. Um, lost his legs a bit, obviously, as he got older. Father time catches us all. But hey, if he can get to Burnley and hold it down in midfield, or at least be a super sub, then that'd be cool to see. Cool to see him continue to play, especially after we all know the challenge, to say the least, to put it mildly, that he went through. Um, so yeah, hopefully finds a big club, a good club to go to, and can play and continue to play. Quick reminders. So the transfer windows in the big five leagues, that's Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Ligue 1, Bundesliga, they close September 1st. So we are quickly approaching that date. That's what, a little under a week and a half now, I believe. So things got to start happening. I think, what's today, Thursday? I think it'll be a busy weekend. I think we'll see a busy weekend with transfer activity. Um, I mean, I'm following, Fabrizio Romano on Twitter, right? And it's like, it's blowing up right now with, all these different potential moves for other teams. But I think this weekend will be busy. Hopefully be busy at United. Hopefully we'll see some outgoings, some incomings. Hopefully we've got like deals structured and they're just relying on or dependent upon maybe Hojlund being sold or Sancho being sold or someone like that. We've already got the deal with the incoming player already structured. So it's just, okay, Sancho sold, Layman's you're in, or Hojlund sold, or Antony sold, Stiller you're in, or whoever, we're sounding out at the time, or even Camavinga comes in, and walks through the door holds up a red shirt. So anyway, yeah, top five leagues windows close September 1st. The Turkish window closes September 11th. So like I said, I think there are a couple guys who were being looked at. I think Antony was being looked at by Fenerbache, and I thought there was someone else maybe looking at going to Turkey. But anyway, that window closes September 11th. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys this morning. Quick reminder, match preview coming tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. And then on Sunday, I'll be live. You can come hang out with me during the Fulham match. We can talk, we can engage, we can, bounce ideas off of each other. We can manage United from the comfort of our own homes or wherever you're watching from. And yeah, so up the Reds, glory Man United. Let's keep marching on. And yeah, I'll, if anything breaks, I'll be on here to talk about it. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.